All right. So a simple way for deleting stuff off your credit. And I know there's a lot of noise on the internet, right? Well, tell you what, there's no one way of doing credit repair. And I know you're gonna say, well, Dwayne, but they told me about this. Well, yes, they told you about Metro 2, they told you about factual disputing, they told you to lie and create an identity theft report, they told you to put your integrity in check. Like they told you all of these things, but the number one way for repairing your credit, like in 2024, is consumer law. Why? You can get paid for violations. You can get paid for information on your consumer report. And a lot of you, yes, I'm talking to you, a lot of people don't know that they potentially have thousands of dollars, high five figures, some people even six, or it could be seven figures, depending on the damages that happen to you as a result of their failure to correct the information on your credit. So, what do I mean by that? 15 USC 1681, right? It speaks about accuracy and fairness of the consumer report. What does that mean for you? It simply means that your consumer report must be accurate, it must be fair. But in that same breath, when you scroll down to number 4, it also speaks about confidentiality. It speaks about security. It speaks about privacy of the consumer report. So if your consumer report is supposed to be accurate, it's supposed to be private, it's supposed to be confidential. And remember, your consumer report makes up your reputation, your character, your general mode of living. Like, it speaks about you. So if a consumer reporting agency is reporting information that is not true about you, about your reputation, your mode of living, that is called defamation of character. They're basically telling lies on you. And so who do you hold responsible? Well, there's two persons. And when I say persons, you know that a corporation and an individual, they're both persons. We hold accountable. So one, the consumer reporting agency that's furnishing the information, did they check? Did they verify that the information being reported is accurate? What checks and balances went into place to ensure that the information was accurate? That's my first thought process. The second one was, the consumer reporting agencies, they got this information from somewhere, right? My question to you is, where is that somewhere? It could be a creditor, it could be a debt collector, it could be a debt buyer, it could be a school, it could be a government institution. They got the information from somewhere. So what do? So we need to comprehend the language for a consumer reporting agency, and we need to comprehend the difference between the language for a creditor or a furnisher. Both have different languages when we approach them. Why? The FCRA, the Fair Credit Reporting Act, it speaks directly to consumer reporting agencies, information on your consumer report. Then when we talk about the FDCPA, which is the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, it speaks to furnishers of information, aka debt collectors, debt buyers, right? So there's different laws for different things. But in addition to, what if they're not a CRA? What if they're not a debt collector? There's laws now within the FCRA that addresses furnishers of information, which would be the category that everyone else falls into that reports information. So if they're not a consumer reporting agency, if they are not a debt collector, they are a furnisher of information. They fall in one of those three categories. All right. So knowing who you're directing your disputes to is effective for deletion based on the fact that one, well, let's step back a little bit. Under what circumstances do we get deletions? Items being inaccurate, items being incomplete, items being unverifiable, right? And in some cases, outdated information. These are some of the top 4 reasons why items get deleted. We have identity theft too, which I'll go into later on, but that's not the point that I'm talking about right now. We're not talking about identity theft. And if you're a victim of identity theft, a real victim, there are ways for you to get these items deleted in as little as 4 business days after the receipt of the dispute that was sent out. But I'll talk about that in another video. So when we talk about accuracy of the report, right? Inaccurate information, unverifiable information. Like these are the grounds, because if a consumer believes that the information on his or her credit report is inaccurate, by law, you have the right to dispute the negative item on your credit. Now, where people trip up is they don't know how to properly do this, because they went online, oh, I'm going to go on ChatGPT, I'm going to go create a dispute letter, and I'm going to send it off to the credit bureaus. Well, guess why you don't get no response? The credit bureaus don't exist. There is no credit bureau. The only bureau is the CFPB, Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, or the Bureau of Consumer Financial Protection, right? CFPB. Like, those are the only bureau. A bureau is a federal or government institution, not a consumer reporting agency, which is a private for-profit entity. So when we know the difference of who we're speaking to, then now our disputes will be disputed. They're not hidden because you are sending your disputes to the wrong person. Right? So when we recognize now that, hey, maybe I should stop calling them credit bureau. Hey, maybe I should stop addressing my letter begging for somebody to do something. Hey, maybe I need to stop being a victim of bad credit. And through this mindset, because be ye renowned through a new what? Through a new mind. A new mind gives you a new life, and a new life comes from a new way of looking at yourself. So what does that mean? It simply means that if you start thinking differently, see, when we change the things we look at, the things we look at also changes. Why? Because you are able to see things that you weren't seeing before. It's the same thing for your dispute. You send out the round one, nothing happened. They didn't even respond to you because the context of your dispute was so confusing, not even Oscar could read it. That's probably what happened, right? So how do you get their language? You get their language by learning consumer law. Consumer law speaks the language and the regulations that consumer reporting agencies, aka credit bureaus, put a line through that, credit bureaus don't exist, that credit bureaus gotta abide by, which, like I just said, credit bureaus do not exist. Furnishers of information, your creditors, different institution, and that, I'm gonna do a whole video. Guess what? How many of you right now got child support on your credit? Like, I know I totally made a segue, right? But how many of you got child support on your credit? Like, what if I told you that child support, the reporting of child support on your credit is a violation of federal law, and it should not even be on your credit? I'll give you guys a different video. I'll give you guys a different video breaking down the whole child support fraud stuff. So back to the story, right? The reason why your disputes ain't hidden is because you don't know how to correctly structure a dispute letter. Well, what the three things you need to know when you're structuring a dispute letter is: one, what item is being disputed? Let's start there. What item will I be disputing? Well, you're going to dispute inaccurate and incomplete information. That can be anything. It could be from the value of an item. It could be from the notes that's on there. It could be from the account numbers being truncated. It doesn't matter what it is. It's incomplete. So let me ask you guys a question. If your account number is 12345, then blank, 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 or star, 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 how do you even know that's your account? Like, I want you to think. How do you know that a 12345, when all the other numbers are truncated, how do you know that is your account being reported and not somebody else's? How? How can you verify the account if the account numbers are not visible? And if I'm asking for my own consumer report, how are these accounts that's supposed to be mine, the account numbers are X'd out or blanked out or truncated or whatever? How am I supposed to know that's my account? Like, we are not in the business of assuming that anything belongs to you. And if you want to go assume that something belongs to you because it looked like yours, please, by all means, go ahead. And this isn't me talking at you, beloved. This is me, like, I love you, beloved. right? No homo, no diddy, right? Right? Just making that clear. But I've seen and I've gotten so many emails and I've seen the comments. I need you to change the things you look at so the things you look at will also change. And by identifying what dispute letter goes where, what language do I use for the CRA, what language do I use for a creditor, what language do I use for a debt collector, when you know the language, you're able to communicate effectively and you are able to get your disputes done correctly. We need to dispute and dispute correctly, because when you use your chat GPT and all those internet guru templates, guys, guess what? They're not consumer law based. The consumer law is right 100% of the time, because that's the law Congress put in place for their matriculation, right? It's a law that Congress put in place so that they know what their left and right limits are. So, like, consumer law holds creditors, auto dealerships, furnishers of information, debt collectors, consumer reporting agencies. It holds them accountable. So my question to you is this: are you going to keep sending out round after round after round after round after round, saying the same thing? You know what the definition of insanity is? Doing the same thing over and over the same exact way, expecting a different results. Guys, the reason why you are not getting any results is because you don't know how to dispute. And the reason why you don't know how to dispute is because you are not speaking the correct language in your dispute letter. You need to comprehend what language needs to be in your dispute when you're addressing a consumer reporting agency, separately from when you're addressing a debt collector, separately from when you're addressing a furnisher of information, and what law holds them accountable. All right, see you on the next video. Don't forget, like, subscribe, share. Let's grow the channel. See you later.